Libya's political crisis and daily protests, what NATO really did to Africa. In 2011, NATO said they were saving Libya. Today, Libya is still in chaos. Protesters are storming government buildings. Ministers are resigning. There is no peace and no future for millions. So was this about democracy or something else? Hi, I'm Imam Farid and welcome to Analytica Today. This week, thousands of angry Libyans flooded to the streets of Tripoli. They are demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Abdulhamid Dibaba. They shouted, "We want election." One officer was killed. Government buildings were attacked. But let's be honest, this didn't start last week. It started the day NATO dropped its first bomb. Today, we're breaking down how Libya went from Africa's richest nation to a broken state, from a militarized, hunted by slaves market and forgotten by the same powers that destroyed it. And why this is not just about Libya, it's a story of how Africa gets punished for dreaming big. Let's break this down. Before 2011, Libya had problems, but it was not a failed state. Under Muammar Gaddafi, Libyans had free education, free healthcare, and highest human development index in Africa. Gaddafi was no angel. He ruled with a tight grip, but he also had a vision, a United States of Africa. He invested billions in African infrastructure. He pushed for a gold-backed currency to free Africa from US dollar and French franc. He challenged the global order, and they lost. According to Hillary Clinton's leaked emails, Gaddafi's gold reserves and Pan-African ambitions were a threat to a global financial system. Soon after, the narrative changed. Suddenly, Gaddafi was a threat to his own people and NATO had to intervene. By March 2011, the bombs started falling. The missions saved civilians. The result, a power vacuum. Gaddafi was captured and killed. And 14 years later, Libya has never recovered. Let's talk about today's Libya. Tripoli is boiling. Protesters just marched through Martyrs Square, demanding elections, holding up photos of Prime Minister Dibaba with red X's across his face. Last week, two powerful militias clashed in Tripoli, the deadliest fighting in years. 8 civilians were killed. One of the warlords, Abdul Kahani Kigli, died in ambush. Dibaba ordered militias to disband. Then protesters accused them for being complicit in their rise. Now his ministers are quitting. 3 resigned on camera. Others are in hiding. One police officer was killed during an attempted storming of the Prime Minister's office. Protesters threw Molotovs. Security forces opened fire. The government is split. The east is controlled by Khalifa Haftar. The west is run by Dibaba, by the UN, but not by the people. Elections were promised in 2021. They never happened, and now Libyans are saying we won't leave until he leaves. The UN is urging calm. Egypt is warning citizens to stay indoors, but Libyans are done waiting. They have seen over a decade of failure. They have seen their oil reach a siphoned off while electricity is cut for 18 hours a day. They have seen warlords grow fat while families starve. They have seen slave markets, yes, a literal slave markets, where Black Africans are being sold for as little as $400 in open-air auctions. This is not just a failed state, it's a failed promise. This is what NATO left behind, with no reconstruction plan, no accountability, no justice. Now here's what they don't tell you. This is not just about Libya. This is about Africa's resource. This is about power. When the West intervenes in Africa, it's not always to help, it's often to control. In DRC, 6 million people have died over conflict tied to coltan, gold, and cobalt, while tech giants rake and profits with no intervention in sight. In the Sahel, French and Western are scrambling to retain influence as the Sahel states push back. General Leakley of AFRICOM even warned the US Senate last month that a realignment is underway. In Zimbabwe, sanctions crushed the economy after Mugabe pushed reclaim white-owned land. And in South Africa, Trump welcomed white Afrikaner refugees fleeing land reform, aiming to redress the inequalities created by the racist apartheid system. Libya's fall was not a mistake. It was a message. Don't challenge the system. Don't print your own money. Don't nationalize your own land. Don't unify Africa. Because when you do, you get sanctioned, invaded, or bombed. Here's the truth. Libya was not destroyed because Gaddafi was brutal. He had been brutal for 40 years. Libya was destroyed the moment it tried to break free. to build an Africa that didn't need foreign aid, foreign bases, or foreign banks. That's what made Libya dangerous, and now, 40 years later, Libyans are paying the price, and so is the rest of Africa. This week's protest, this chaos, is not random. It's what happens when revolution is hijacked, when intervention is a cover for control, when Africa's ambition is treated like a threat. So when you see footage of Libyan youth protesting in the streets, it's not just about elections or electricity. It's about betrayal. It's about the cost of Western liberation. It's a warning to every African country trying to stand tall, whether it's Mali, Burkina Faso, Sudan, or South Africa. Because in a world where democracy is weaponized and human rights are used to justify bombs, we have to ask, whose democracy, whose rights, and what's cost? If this story resonated with you, share it. Comment below, do you think Libya can recover? Should African nations still trust Western powers? Subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines and put African voice front and center. Until next time, I'm Iman Farid, and this is Analytica Today.